In the name of Allah, dear students, I wish to welcome you by the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hope you all would be in the hegemony of felicity. Today, we are going to start our fifth chapter of your geography book, that is Natural Vegetation and Wildlife. I have divided this chapter into six subtopics. The first will be the introduction with some important terms like flora, fauna, vegetation, natural vegetation, virgin vegetation, and cultivated vegetation. And the second will be the Indian scenario. Third, the factors influencing natural vegetation and wildlife. Fourth, types of vegetation. And fifth, wildlife. Then the recapitulation of the whole chapter. Firstly, we will go to the important terms, some important terms like you have flora. What is flora? Flora implies or it indicates the plant life of any particular region of any particular area for a particular period of time. You can also get it by the word flora. Flora, it implies flowers. Flower means plant life, plant cover. And likewise, you have fauna. Fauna refers to the animal life of any area for a particular period of time. You can also hear make this F word silent and then it remains ona means animals. After that, flora and fauna, plant and animal life, we have vegetation. What is vegetation? Vegetation simply is the assemblage of plants in a given environmental frame or ecological frame. Means the plant cover on the surface of area as you can see in your environment in your surroundings. They word this natural vegetation, which is a bit different from the vegetation. It, what does it mean? It means that type of vegetation, that type of plant cover which grows by its own, on its own, without any human interference, without any human aid, and it adopts the constraints of the natural environment in size, in structure, and any other requirements. In this natural vegetation, when this natural vegetation is totally undisturbed, when it is totally unchanged, when it is having not even the human interference, this is called the virgin vegetation, which you can see on the mountains, on the high mountains, in Thar desert, etc. The cultivated vegetation means that very type of vegetation or that plant cover which we are growing by our own in our orchards, in our gardens, etc. The virgin vegetation have two subcategories. It is endemic virgin vegetation and exotic virgin vegetation. Endemic this virgin vegetation belongs to that plant cover which belongs to our own country, which is Indian in nature, that is called endemic. And exotic means that plant cover which is brought from outside, which is not our own, which is not Indian. Okay, now after this we are going to the Indian scenario. Our country India, it is among the 12 mega biodiversity countries. As you know, we have a huge area in India. That's why we do have biodiversity, multiple biodiversity here, mega biodiversity here. Why it is among the 15 in this 12 mega biodiversity countries? Because we have 47,000 plant species found in India. Because of this, we are ranking 10th in the world, okay, and 4th in whole Asia. And we have 15,000 flowering plants. Because of these 15,000 flowering plants, we accounts for 6% in the world's total number of flowering plants. And we have 90,000 species of animals, which includes all aquatic, terrestrial, amphibians, etc., etc. After this, we are going to the factors. We will see factors which influence natural vegetation and wildlife. The main factors which this affects the influences the vegetation or the wildlife of an area, it's relief and climate. What is relief and what is climate? Relief is the ups and downs or the structure of our surface of the earth. The structure means if the area is it a plain area, is it is a mountainous area, is it a desert area, or it is hilly area, etc. And the climate means the aggregation of the weather conditions or the state of our atmosphere for a longer period of time. In relief, we have land, soil, and altitude. In climate, we have temperature and humidity. We have photoperiod. We have precipitation. Let us go to the first one. It is land. The nature of the land affects the natural vegetation directly and indirectly. Example, the type of vegetation in the mountainous region, okay, is quite different from that of the vegetation which is found on plateaus or in plain areas. The fertile land is having good quantity of agriculture, good quantity of this plantation, while as the areas having undulated or rough terrain, which are hilly, etc., they do have grasslands and they could have woodlands. The grasslands and woodlands, on the other hand, can be the shelter of the variety of wildlife. Okay, so the how land affects the this type of vegetation. When it is plain area, it is having ample vegetation. When we go higher in altitude, we have rough terrains, we have mountainous areas or hilly areas. They do have different types of vegetation. Now the second one is soil type. Okay, different types of soils provide basis for different types of vegetation. For example, sandy soil, it is good for the cultivation of coconut, cashew nut, this cotton, cactus, thorny bush. Okay, as compared to the sandy soil, we have clayey soil. Clayey soil is good for the cultivation of paddy. We have another type of soil, loamy soil, which is good for the cultivation of wheat, sugarcane, cotton, jute, pulses, oilseeds, etc. We have also a red soil, which is good for the cultivation of groundnut, pulses, millets, cotton, tobacco. We have black soils. Black soils, on the other hand, supports the cultivation of cotton, sugarcane, wheat, millets, and oil seeds. Okay, then going to the climatic factors, we have temperature and humidity. Temperature means the degree of heat. Okay, temperature and humidity, the moisture content. Humidity, the moisture content, these are the main factors which determine the characteristics and the extent of vegetation. For example, the area having high temperature and high humidity, okay, they support the evergreen forests. Okay, good quantity of vegetation is followed there, while as the areas having high temperature but low in humidity, it supports the thorny bushes. Now the second climatic factor, it is precipitation. What is precipitation? It is the water released from the clouds. As we all know, it can be in the form of rain, it can be in the form of freezing rain, sleet, snow, or hail. Areas having heavy rainfall, they do support the dense vegetation, the forests, etc., as compared to those areas having less rainfall. For example, in our India, when you will see the areas like northern and the northeastern India, where we have a good quantity of rainfall because of the advancing monsoons or the western disturbances, we have ample quantity of rainfall and the vegetation cover is very well over there as compared to the central India. or you do have a good this vegetation cover on the coastal regions because of having a good quantity of rainfall. This figure is a very good figure to understand the relationship between the mean annual temperature and the mean annual precipitation. Okay, when the mean annual precipitation, that is in centimeters, when it is from 0 to 50 degrees, 0 to 50 centimeters rainfall, and the temperature is this minus 5 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius in an increasing trend, it supports desert or the thorny plants. Okay, when the mean annual precipitation is 50 to 80 centimeters and the mean annual temperature is 18 to 30 Celsius, it favors tropical scrubs. When the mean annual precipitation, mean annual rainfall is 80 centimeters to 150 centimeters and the mean annual temperature is 30 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius in a decreasing trend, you do have savanna there. When it is 100 when it is 130 to 170 in precipitation centimeters. Okay, and we have temperature from 30 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius. You have Mediterranean scrubs. You can by your own see the picture and you can relate the temperature and this precipitation, and can see what type of precipitation is found in this precipitation and annual and this zone. Okay, now the photoperiod, the third factor, it is photoperiod. What is photoperiod? Photoperiod is the duration of sunlight or the length of sunlight, the day length, you can also say. The variation in photoperiod at different places is due to the difference in latitude, altitude, season and duration of the day. For example, in summer here in the northern hemisphere, you have longer days and the longer days are supporting the vegetation. You can see in your Kashmir. Okay, in summer we can plant different types of crops. We can plant rice, we can plant different vegetables, we can plant we can plant the apple, etc. Okay, because of the duration of good duration of sunlight, and as compared to this in winter, we have photo period, we have less photo period, days are shorter. We cannot, this cannot support vegetation. The third factor, it is altitude. The fourth one, it is altitude. With increasing elevation, the vegetation cover goes on changing. Okay, for example, increasing elevation causes a distribution of vegetation similar to that of the increasing latitude. Okay, in general, altitude mimics latitude, and there occurs a close parallel between latitudinal and altitudinal zonation of climate, and thus natural vegetation too. Example, Mount Kenya in East Africa and Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador have their feet on the equator. They do have their feet on equator, but their peaks are snow covered. That means these are the equatorial regions having high temperature. High temperature can support good quantity of vegetation or good vegetation, but they are high in altitude. They are so high in altitude that their peaks are snow covered, and in that very region, snow covered areas, you cannot find any type of vegetation. Here, uh, for the first time, this Alexander von Humboldt has found the relationship between vegetation and altitude. Okay, you can see this figure and can see you have when we are going up in altitude, we have tropical forests, okay, and then we have deciduous forests when we are going up. Then we have coniferous forests when we have tundra forests, and we have mountain ice and snow. Okay, it is when increasing in altitude. Going on the latitude, when the latitude is decreasing, we have deciduous forests near the equator, and then we have coniferous forests, we have tundra forests, and towards the poles we have polar ice and snow, which is having no vegetation at all. Thank you very much. This was all regarding this lecture. If you do have any questions, any queries, you can ask me on my WhatsApp number. Thank you.